Imagine a newborn just arrived, and instead of warmth, there's just cold calculation about what to do next. It's chilling, isn't it?
It really is. That opening scene in Oliver Twist with the surgeon and nurse, it just sets such a stark tone. No sentimentality at all.
None. And that's the world Charles Dickens throws us into 19th century England, where poverty and childhood were, well, brutal realities.
Absolutely. His book is such a powerful lens on those societal attitudes. And, for listeners wanting to dig even deeper, there's a great resource called Mindful Moments.
Oh, the YouTube channel.
Yeah, they use AI for book analysis. It offers some really insightful takes, prompts critical thinking on complex works like this. Definitely worth checking out.
Good tip. Okay, so let's unpack Oliver's start. It's institutional from day one writing.
Pretty much. Dickens uses that phrase, brought up by hand. It sounds almost industrial, doesn't it? Completely impersonal.
Yeah, devoid of any nurturing feel. And then he's farmed out. What does that actually mean?
Well, after some back and forth between the workhouse and parish officials, it basically meant sending them away to a kind of branch workhouse run by a Mrs. Mann.
A branch workhouse. Sounds slightly better, maybe?
Not really. It was about 3 miles away, and Oliver was dumped there with maybe 20, 30 other children. They were labeled juvenile offenders against the poor laws.
Offenders, just for being poor and orphaned.
That was the mindset. And the system itself, it almost encouraged neglect. Mrs. Mann got paid per child 7 pence halfpenny a week.
7 pence halfpenny. Doesn't sound like much even then.
Dickens actually suggests, quite sarcastically, that it could have been enough if managed properly. But Mrs. Mann, he calls her a great experimental philosopher.
Uh-huh. In what sense?
In the sense that she experimented with how little food the children could survive on so she could pocket the difference. It was all about her own gain.
So the incentive was basically to starve them. Grim. Terribly grim. It shows how the system valued, well, cost-cutting over basic human welfare. And the people running it, like Mr. Bumble the Beetle and Mrs. Mann, they come across as quite awful.
Oh, deeply hypocritical and self-important. Remember when Bumble visits Mrs. Mann? She lays on the fake sweetness thick.
Right. I'm sure, Mr. Bumble, that I was only telling 1 or 2 of the dear children is so fond of you. It's so obviously false.
Totally. And Bumble laps it up. Dickens says he has a great idea of his oratorical powers and his importance. He even mentions Bumble smiling. Beetles are but men, exposing that little bit of vanity.
It shows how easily people in charge could just ignore the suffering.
Exactly. And Oliver's early life is just defined by this. The constant hunger, the neglect, and that heartbreaking question he asks Bumble on the walk back to the main workhouse.
So we nearly there. Just sums up this endless bleak journey he's on.
But even in that bleakness, there are these moments of, defiance, like the famous gruel scene.
Yes. The boys are literally starving, aren't they? They draw lots.
They do, driven by sheer desperation. And Oliver draws the short straw. He has to be the one to ask for more.
It's such a small act, but so huge in that context. Please, sir, I want some more.
And the reaction is instantaneous outrage. The master is appalled. The board is horrified.
It seems almost comical if it weren't about a starving child. The immediate condemnation.
Especially that gentleman in the white waistcoat. He keeps insisting that boy will be hung.
Hung for asking for more food.
It shows the extreme prejudice. Any hint of challenging the status quo from someone poor was seen as, well, practically criminal.
So the parish just wants rid of him after that. The £5 reward to apprentice him off.
He becomes an object, a problem to be disposed of. Which leads him to Mr. Sowerberry, the undertaker.
And Sowerberry doesn't see a child needing help, does he?
No, he sees cheap labor. Dickens even includes that detail about Sowerberry admiring the very elegant button on Bumble's coat, just buttering him up during the transaction.
It's also transactional. And life with the Sowerberrys isn't any better, is it? With Noah Claypole.
Worse, in some ways. Constant emotional and physical abuse from Noah and the servant girl, Charlotte. Noah, despite being a charity boy himself, despises Oliver.
Why? Because Oliver's an orphan with unknown parents.
Exactly. That sense of superiority, even among the oppressed. Dickens notes how easily those amiable qualities, as he puts it sarcastically, can sprout anywhere.
The cruelty eventually drives Oliver to run away, doesn't it?
Yes. Hunger and mistreatment finally push him over the edge. He escapes and starts that long, desperate walk to London.
And even on that journey, people show no kindness. The coach passengers just see him as lazy.
No compassion at all, which makes his arrival in London and falling in with Fagin's group almost inevitable in a way.
Ah, Fagin.
Yeah.
And the artful dodger. Charlie Bates. Quite the introduction to the city.
It is. And Oliver's so naive. He sees all the silk handkerchiefs Fagin has and just wonders about them.
So wipes?
Right. And Fagin and the boys are so casual about it all, talking about teaching Oliver how to pick pockets and remove the markings from stolen goods. It's chillingly matter of fact.
Then comes the first time he's actually out with them, and he gets caught for a theft he didn't even commit.
That's right. Dodger and Charlie Bates do the stealing. Oliver gets chased and caught, which leads him, luckily in a way, to Mr. Brownlow.
A potential turning point. But first, he has to deal with Mr. Fang, the magistrate.
Who is just awful. Harsh, prejudiced, completely unfair to both Oliver and Mr. Brownlow, who tries to speak up for him.
But Brownlow persists. He takes Oliver home. That must have been completely bewildering for Oliver.
Absolutely. The kindness he receives from Brownlow and the housekeeper, Mrs. Bedwin, he's never experienced anything like it. Dickens gives us those touching thoughts Oliver has, wondering if his mother is watching over him.
A moment of real hope. But the underworld isn't done with him.
Not by a long shot. When the artful Dodger eventually gets caught himself, Charlie Bates's reaction is almost theatrical. It shows their strange, warped loyalty.
And then there's Nancy. She seems different from the others, maybe.
She does show concern for Oliver, definitely, which contrasts sharply with Bill Sikes, who is just brutal and indifferent.
Sikes forces Oliver into that house-breaking attempt, doesn't he?
Yes, with Toby Crackett. It's terrifying for Oliver. He's horrified. He begs them not to make him do it. It really highlights his fundamental goodness. He just doesn't belong in that world.
It's in these contrasts, isn't it? The deep cruelty alongside these flickers of potential kindness, like from Brownlow or later, Mrs. Maley.
Exactly. And this is where we see that theme emerge strongly. Even in the absolute worst environments, there's still this capacity for good, this desire for connection. For anyone exploring these deeper character arcs and social critiques, resources like mindful moments and, well, discussions like ours can really help unpack them.
That's a good point. So it suggests a kind of positive theory, maybe, that inherent goodness can survive.
I think Dickens suggests that, yes. Rose Maylie's compassion later on is another powerful example. Despite everything Oliver's been associated with, she sees the good in him.
And Nancy, too, ultimately makes a choice for good, doesn't she? A very dangerous choice.
Incredibly dangerous. Her internal conflict is palpable, but she decides to help Oliver, contacting Rose Maylie and Mr. Brownlow secretly.
To reveal the plot Monks has been hatching.
Precisely. She risks everything to expose Monks, who we later find out is Oliver's half-brother, and his scheme to deny Oliver his inheritance.
But Fagin gets suspicious.
Highly suspicious. And paranoid. He gets Noah Claypole, who's fallen in with them by now, to spy on Nancy.
And Noah completely misinterprets what he overhears.
Tragically, yes. He reports back to Fagin in a way that makes Nancy look like she's betraying the whole gang, especially Sikes.
Which leads to, well, one of the most horrifying scenes in the book.
Sikes, enraged by Fagin's twisted version of the story, murders Nancy. It's brutal, shocking.
And Sikes himself doesn't escape justice.
No, his guilt haunts him. He goes on the run, but he's pursued by a mob, and in his panic, trying to escape across rooftops, he accidentally hangs himself. A grim end.
So with Sikes and Fagin eventually dealt with, the path clears for the truth about Oliver.
Yes. Mr. Brownlow is relentless. He confronts Monks, unravels the whole conspiracy. Oliver's true identity, Edwin Leaford, is revealed, along with his rightful inheritance.
What about the others? Bumble and Mrs. Mann.
They get their comeuppance, their hypocrisies exposed, and they end up losing their positions and falling into poverty themselves, ironically ending up in the workhouse they once lorded over.
And Noah, the artful Dodger.
Noah continues his self-serving ways, turning informant. The Dodger, true to form, is eventually caught and transported, likely to Australia, defiant to the end.
So for Oliver, after everything, there is a genuinely positive ending.
There really is. He's adopted by Mr. Brownlow, finds a loving family with the Maylies Rose and Mrs. Maylie. He escapes that cycle of poverty and crime completely.
It's a testament to his resilience, maybe? And the existence of good people like Brownlow and Rose.
I think so. It shows hope can endure, that good can ultimately overcome incredible evil and hardship. That's part of the enduring power of the story, isn't it?
Absolutely. It leaves you thinking, though. These were the realities of the 19th century. But do we still see echoes today? Issues of inequality, how society treats vulnerable children.
It's a crucial question. How much has really changed fundamentally in our attitudes towards poverty and vulnerability?
Yeah.
What can a story like Oliver Twist still teach us?
Definitely something to mull over. Well, thank you for that exploration. To our listeners, we hope this prompts further thought. Do subscribe to stay informed about future discussions.
And if you found this valuable, share it with others. You can find a link to purchase Oliver Twist in our show notes if you'd like to read or reread it yourself.
And as always, keep thinking critically about the stories that shape how we see the world. Until next time.